made, the collective conversation much more positive and much more accepted.
That stigma is getting better, but it's still there for a lot of people who are at that very early stage and kind of just don't know what to do. And like you said, feeling isolated. What would you say? How do we take that first step to help in that process?
I mean, I was really scared, and I didn't want to admit that, that I had depression for a long time. And I think the advice that I would give is just take that first step, tell somebody about it, get support, whether that's from a friend or a family member or a therapist, because it makes such a big difference. Once you make that first step, everything becomes so much easier because, again, you do have so many people that can relate to you and can help you, and there's no reason to be that isolated. There are so many resources now.
Is there something that you wish parents or coaches of young kids would know about mental health as they're training and getting started in their sports?
I think one thing that I've really learned from a lot of people that I've talked to, a lot of athletes that I feel like I've talked to about mental health, is that when their parents are supportive and open, they've dealt with it a lot better. And when they know their parent is always there, that makes a huge difference. I know a good friend of mine, Alice Merriweather, she struggled with anorexia, and, she felt like her parents were always there, no matter what. And that gave her a lot of strength. So I feel like parents, if they can be open and not judging and just really be supportive and be there for their kids and having them know that they're always there is going to be huge in helping them overcome whatever mental health battle they have.
How are you dealing with it nowadays as an adult? This has been a journey for you too, and that early process of reaching out for help and getting help is so critical. But for someone who's been in it for a while and maintaining it, what do you go through day to day now to keep your mental health in check?
I talk to my therapist. I'm in a good routine now. I think when I retired, the calls were much more frequent, the in-person visits were much more frequent, but, I feel like I'm in a good place, but that doesn't mean, that I let it go. I'm doing check-ins usually once a month, sometimes more, and I still keep up with my journaling. I think that's really important. And, I just take time for myself. I'm someone that tends to overwork, so it's important for me to find that balance and make sure that, I don't get run down, because a lot of times that's what, can be a trigger for me. So it's finding that balance and getting that support from my friends and family and my therapist and not thinking that when I'm in a good place, it's always going to stay there. It's a constant work in progress, and that's important not to forget.
Why is it so important that we continue to openly talk about mental health in our society?
I mean, I think that, it just gives us more empathy for each other. I feel like our society is so revolved right now around judgment and comparing ourselves to each other. And I think one thing mental health does, and this conversation does, is really open the door for empathy and compassion for each other. And, no one knows what we're going through, but, we can all relate in some way, shape, or form. So it's a matter of, being there for each other and allowing the openness of the conversation to be there so that everyone feels comfortable and everyone can make the progress and be healthy in the way that they need to be.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Our focus on why so many athletes decide to become activists continues. Gymnast Jordyn Wieber is up next on The Why. The Team USA gold medalist wants us all to know about the abuse she suffered and how she's making sure young women grow up in a sport that's safe. I'll talk with her about her activism next. Also ahead this hour, a discussion that we hope will finally lead to that aha moment. We'll explain what cryptocurrency is, how it works, and why it's surging in value. And they're the pills that save lives from COVID. We'll break down how they work.
In the last year, there was a victim of identity theft every 3 seconds. Could it happen to you?
Somebody used my identification. They had a driver's license in my name. and they had actually purchased their $50,000 vehicle and drove it off the lot. I thought this only happened in the movies. I didn't know what to do, but thankfully I had LifeLock.
With LifeLock, you have a team of experts on your side. Every member gets identity theft detection and alerts, a U.S.-based restoration agent to fix issues, and LifeLock's $1 million protection package, providing experts and lawyers if needed.
My membership included coverage for an attorney, so I didn't have to pay anything out of pocket. LifeLock provides the type of protection I need.
Help protect what's yours with LifeLock Identity Theft Protection. Call the number on your screen or visit LifeLock.com. Use promo code MY25 to save 25% off your first year. Call right now.
We met 40 years ago at a concert, so you can say music has always been very special to us. But when his hearing loss continued to progress, we stopped doing some of the things that we really loved.
The thought of getting a hearing aid made me feel, then I found Lexi Hearing.
Lexi offers premium medical-grade hearing aids delivered directly to your door.
Turns out you don't need a prescription to get a prescription-quality hearing aid anymore.
You order your hearing aids online, risk-free, because you get to try them for 45 days. And when they arrive, customize them to your unique hearing profile using the Lexi app. And thanks to on-demand support from Lexi's hearing experts, you're never on your own. You get high-quality hearing aids, plus batteries and accessories delivered regularly.
For only $49 a month.
Go to LexiHearing.com or call 800-50-LEXI. That's 800-505-3943. And get 1 month free or $100 off a one-time payment. That's 800-50-LEXI. I'm a non-attorney spokesperson with 2 important questions. Do you have cancer? And have you taken Zantac to help treat stomach issues? It's horrible to find out that you or a loved one has cancer, but even worse if you find out that perhaps it could have been prevented. The FDA has found a probable cancer-causing chemical known as NDMA in Zantac and other generic versions of the drug. That means that you could receive a free cash award and have your medical expenses covered. If you've been diagnosed with cancer and you've taken Zantac or a generic equivalent, contact the Consumer Tort Network right now. The Consumer Tort Network represents law firms that have proven records fighting the big pharmaceuticals. Now they're ready to fight for you. And there's no upfront cost to you. They only get paid when you win. Call 800-680-9544 or visit ZantecTort.com. We're here to help. Call 800-680-9544.
What are my stats? Well, my investments are tracking up, my house will be paid off in 12 years, and I'll retire at 61. Take control of your finances with Quicken. Try risk-free for 30 days.
Wouldn't it be unbelievable if a cereal that looked like this was healthy? That's Magic Spoon. High protein, low carb, with 0 grams of sugar, and with a taste that makes your New Year's resolution worth sticking to. Get $5 off at magicspoon.com/TV.
Calibrate is a doctor-guided weight loss program that combines virtual doctor visits, FDA-approved medication, and one-on-one video coaching to reset your metabolic system. Get back in control of your weight and your health with Calibrate. Sign up today at joincalibrate.com.
Looking to save on car insurance? Then why settle for one quote from a single carrier when you can compare over 50 with Jerry? Companies claim to save, but Jerry finds who can save you the most. Fast, free, and no phone calls. Save up to $848 at GetJerry.com.
I thought that training for the Olympics would be the hardest thing I would ever do. But in fact, the hardest thing I've had to do is a process, and I'm a victim of Larry Nassar.
Jordan Weber won Olympic gold in gymnastics for Team USA at the 2012 Olympic Games. 6 years later, she testified in front of U.S. senators about the abuse she suffered at the hands of the team doctor, Larry Nassar, who was later convicted of rape. And she talks candidly about the trauma she suffered. Jordan Weber is here on The Why tonight to talk about what it means to be an athlete and to be an activist and her journey. She's now a women's gymnastics coach at the University of Arkansas. Thank you so much for coming on the show tonight to have this conversation.
Thanks for having me.
So we heard you in that piece. That was you in 2018. You're coaching and creating an environment that's healthy for young gymnasts. We all remember you standing on that podium, winning gold at the London Games in 2012, and we all remember also seeing you ladies so bravely come forward about the sexual abuse you all suffered. You're now devoted to making sure young women have a safe life in sports. Where has the last couple years taken you in life?
Well, I mean, even seeing that video, it feels like so long ago. After my career in gymnastics and honestly processing through all of the things that happened to me through the sport. Obviously I had an awesome gymnastics career and achieved a lot of things, but there were also some other parts of my career that were a little bit more dark. But at the end of the day, I love the sport of gymnastics with all of my heart. And I envision a healthier, safer environment for all future gymnasts that want to strive to make an Olympic team like I did someday. And so now I'm coaching and, doing everything in my power to not only improve the culture of our sport of gymnastics, but really create just an awesome environment here for our athletes to thrive and grow and push themselves to reach their goals and their potential, but also learn a lot of life lessons and, just have a good experience in the sport.
The women's gymnastics team made such a fundamental impact on so many levels. I mean, you ladies changed the culture of opening up to have these conversations and honestly opening up the eyes of not only so many athletes, but so many parents of what can go so terribly wrong in sport. Talking about it, of course, is hard for anyone at any age, but you were so young when this was happening. I'm wondering if there were other athletes or people in sport that you look to as inspiration for speaking out and sharing your story?
I mean, honestly, throughout the whole, year of 2018 and everything coming out about Larry Nassar and all of the abuse that, multiple people, hundreds of people suffered at his hands. And, really what inspired me and motivated me to speak out was the fact that I wasn't alone and the fact that I knew other people had been through something similar as me. And I thought, if I can do that for at least one other person, then it's worth it for me to speak out. But the sad reality is, I mean, historically in the sport of gymnastics, we're so young when we train and compete. And I was just 17 when I went to the Olympics, and 14, it's, the first time Larry Nassar sexually abused me. So, the culture of in the sport of gymnastics was one of silence and obedience as far as the athletes and just, not a great healthy power dynamic between people in authority positions, coaches, national team staff, doctors. So we didn't feel like we had a voice while it was happening to us. We didn't have anybody that was really looking out for us and protecting us. But, banding together with my sister survivors and teammates and saying, if this is going to help the next generation, then it's worth it. That made it a little bit easier. And hopefully it makes it easier for the next person to speak out if they ever have been through anything similar.
Over the past decade, as more athletes have spoken out about all kinds of challenges they faced. You think of Lindsey Vonn, who talks about depression. Simone Biles is also an activist for mental health. For you, do you feel like after so many of these athletes have been coming out and being more open about their issues and their challenges, are the resources getting better? Are the tools getting better? Are we making that stride?
I like to think that we're heading in that direction. I don't think we're even close to where we need to be as far as, I can speak to the sport of gymnastics. I think a lot of things were uncovered. It wasn't just Larry Nassar. It was, our sport, our organization, our national governing body, and, the Olympic Committee. It was all of it. And it's not going to be an overnight fix, but, we're going to keep talking about it. We're going to keep advocating for change. And I think a lot of it is education and making sure that coaches are educated and, parents are educated. And so we can look out for the young gymnasts in our country. And I mean, you said it before. I know this is not just a gymnastics issue. It goes across all sports. But I just think about all those little gymnasts, doing what I loved to do when I was young as well, and just wanting them to be safe and be able to do what they love and be in the gym and have fun and reach their goals.
Well, you're a coach, right? You just talked about that, advocating for those little girls, and you see them every day in your gym. What do you do to make sure that they have a healthy sports environment?
I mean, so many things. Obviously, it starts with our leadership and our coaching staff, setting a good example and being committed to having a good, positive environment, one that is not in any way, shape, or form abusive, and it's supportive and it's empathetic. while at the same time holding a standard of hard work and discipline and being able to do the things we need to do in order to succeed in our sport. But at the same time, we have so many support staff and resources for our student athletes that we lean on. We have a dietitian, we have a